Creatine, everything you think you know is wrong. This is the most researched performance supplement in existence. Over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies, more clinical evidence than almost anything else in your supplement cabinet. It costs about 8 cents per serving, and most people using it think they know what it does. Because for 30 years, the fitness industry has been telling the same story about it. The story goes like this. Creatine makes your muscles bigger. Take it before the gym. Load for a week. Drink extra water. That's it. And that story isn't wrong. It's just massively incomplete. Because in the last few years, something interesting has been happening in research labs. Scientists have been looking at creatine not for what it does to your muscles, but for what it does to your brain. A study published just weeks ago confirmed what a growing body of evidence has been pointing toward for years. Creatine has a hidden cognitive dimension that the fitness world almost completely ignored. Today we're covering all of it. The myths, the mechanism, the brain research, and why this 8-cent-a-day supplement might be the most underrated thing in your cabinet for reasons that have nothing to do with your bench press. What creatine actually is. Before we get into what creatine does, most people don't actually know what it is, and the answer changes how you think about it entirely. Creatine isn't a synthetic chemical invented in a lab. It's a naturally occurring compound your body already makes from 3 amino acids: glycine, arginine, methionine. Your liver, kidneys, and pancreas produce it naturally. It's also found in meat and fish, especially red meat. Your body stores about 95% of it in skeletal muscle and the remaining 5% primarily in the brain. This matters because creatine supplementation isn't introducing a foreign substance. It's topping up something your body already relies on. Vegetarians and vegans tend to have significantly lower creatine stores because they're not getting dietary creatine from meat, which also means they tend to see the most dramatic response to supplementation because they're starting from a more depleted baseline. Look at the mechanism. Here's how creatine actually works. And once you understand this, you'll understand why it affects both muscles and the brain. Your body's primary energy currency is a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Every muscle contraction, every neuron firing, every heartbeat, ATP is constantly being consumed. The problem is your body can only store a few seconds worth of ATP at any given moment. It has to regenerate it continuously. Creatine stores in your muscles as phosphocreatine. When ATP runs low, phosphocreatine donates a phosphate group and regenerates ATP almost instantly. That's why creatine improves strength, power output, explosive performance. But here's the part the gym world forgot to mention. Your brain cells run on the exact same ATP system. Neurons have enormous energy demands, and they respond to the exact same creatine mechanism. The myths. Before we get to the brain research, let's clear the air on some of the things that have kept people away from creatine for years, because misinformation about this supplement has been remarkably persistent. Myth: creatine is a steroid. Completely false. Creatine is not a hormone, not a steroid, not a controlled substance. Steroids alter hormone signaling. Creatine replenishes an energy molecule. Biochemically, they have almost nothing in common. Myth: creatine damages your kidneys. This myth persisted for decades because creatine supplementation raises creatinine levels on blood tests. Creatinine is filtered by the kidneys, so people incorrectly assumed elevated creatinine meant kidney damage. Multiple long-term studies in healthy adults at standard doses show no evidence of kidney damage. In people with pre-existing kidney disease, caution is warranted, but in healthy adults, the evidence is extremely clear. Myth: you need to load creatine. Loading on 20 grams per day for a week saturates stores faster, but it's not required. Taking 3 to 5 grams daily reaches the same saturation point within a few weeks. Loading also causes more water retention and GI discomfort for some people. For most people, 3 to 5 grams daily, every day, that's it. Nuanced. Creatine HCl is better than monohydrate. Creatine HCl is marketed as more soluble and better absorbed. The research does not support it being meaningfully superior in practice. Creatine monohydrate is the most studied form in history, and it performs equivalently in head-to-head trials. HCl simply costs more. Unless you specifically experience GI discomfort with monohydrate, monohydrate remains the evidence-based choice at a fraction of the cost. The brain research. This is the section that changes how most people think about creatine. Because everything we just covered, the mechanism, the ATP system, applies equally to your brain. And the research is finally catching up to what the mechanism predicted years ago. A review published in May 2026 confirmed what multiple research threads have been building toward. Creatine's benefits extend meaningfully into brain health and cognitive function, particularly in situations where brain energy metabolism is under stress. Older adults, vegetarians, people under cognitive load. These groups show the strongest and most consistent responses. The research is becoming increasingly clear that creatine isn't just a muscle supplement that happens to have brain effects. The brain effects are a core part of what creatine does. We just spent 30 years only looking at the muscle side. Sleep deprivation research. One of the most practically relevant findings in creatine research involves sleep deprivation. Multiple studies show that creatine supplementation measurably reduces cognitive performance decline after poor sleep. The mechanism makes sense. Sleep deprivation depletes brain ATP faster. Creatine's phosphocreatine system helps buffer that depletion. This is not a substitute for sleep. But in the real world, where people don't always sleep perfectly, this is a meaningful cognitive protection effect that almost nobody in the fitness space talks about. Alzheimer's research. A pilot trial published by the University of Kansas Medical Center in 2025 examined creatine supplementation in Alzheimer's patients. 19 participants took 20 grams of creatine monohydrate daily for 8 weeks. Results showed an 11% increase in brain creatine concentration, alongside improvements in working memory and executive function. This was a small pilot study and should be interpreted cautiously, but the direction of effect is meaningful. And importantly, the supplementation was well tolerated. The implications for an aging population are significant. Vegetarian data. Here's why the vegetarian and vegan data matters so much in the cognitive research. People who eat no meat have dramatically lower baseline creatine stores, including in the brain. Studies consistently show that this population sees the largest cognitive improvements from supplementation, which suggests two things. First, creatine is genuinely doing something in the brain. And second, many people walking around right now may be cognitively underperforming relative to their potential simply because their brain creatine stores are depleted. To the verdict. So after all of this, the mechanism, the myths, the brain research, here's the honest picture on creatine in 2026. Creatine monohydrate may be the most evidence-backed supplement you can buy. And most people have been thinking too small about what it actually does. On physical performance, settled science. Creatine improves strength, power output, and high-intensity exercise capacity. The evidence here is about as unambiguous as it gets in sports nutrition. If you train and you're not taking creatine, you are leaving measurable performance on the table. On brain function, genuinely promising. the sleep deprivation research, the vegetarian response data, and the Alzheimer's pilot trial all point in the same direction. The mechanism is sound. The early results are consistent. This isn't hype. It's a research area that was neglected because nobody was looking. What form should you take? Creatine monohydrate, not HCl, not ethyl ester, not buffered. Monohydrate has over 1,000 studies behind it. Everything else has a handful. There is no meaningful evidence that alternative forms outperform monohydrate at equivalent doses. What dose should you take? 3 to 5 grams per day, every day, including rest days. You're trying to maintain saturated creatine stores, not just take it around workouts. No loading required, no cycling required, just consistent daily use. What brand should you buy? Any brand with CreaPure certification or legitimate third-party testing. The molecule itself is the molecule. You're paying for purity and quality control, not proprietary marketing. So here are my recommendations. 3 things to remember before you buy any creatine. Rule number 1, monohydrate only. Over 1,000 studies. No other form comes close. Rule number 2, CreaPure certified or third-party tested. You want pharmaceutical-grade purity. Rule number 3, 3 to 5 grams every day. Consistency beats timing. Morning, night, pre-workout, post-workout. It doesn't matter. Daily consistency is what matters. Creatine is one of the rare supplements where both the athletic research and the emerging cognitive research point in the same direction. It works. It's safe. It's been studied more than almost anything else in this industry. And at roughly 8 cents per day, it may be the best value proposition in your entire supplement cabinet. Next video, we're going deep on what may be the most research-backed cognitive stack available right now. 2 ingredients, less than $1 a day, and the synergy between them is something we haven't covered yet. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Stacked Lab. We read the studies so you don't have to.